Well, hi, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Want to come to you with another stack of books. I've got a couple of stacks here, actually. I'm going to turn it into two videos for you, but I'm going to start with some books that I picked up, what was it, last weekend? My family, we went to the Great Wolf Lodge and had a little overnight stay there and kind of a last family outing since we didn't do a big family vacation this year. We went there and did the water park and just enjoyed ourselves. I had, of course, my wife and I, my youngest daughter, and then my oldest daughter was able to join us. And we just had a lot of fun overnight trip. And while we were out and about, we happened to stop and get some, well, maybe the whole point wasn't to get some books, but we ended up getting some books because you know me, I'm always on the lookout. So I do have some books from there, and then I have a couple of them that I picked up at the Friends of the Library sale cart from a couple of weeks ago, and then I also have one that was sent to me from the publisher. And that's the one I'm going to start with right now. This was sent to me, it was probably 3 weeks ago. I meant to show it, but I had ended up going to church camp and was involved as a cabin leader at church camp. And so I didn't get a chance to show this to you because it came just a couple of days before I left. So this was from 2-3 weeks ago. But I'll start off with it. It is Alexander the Great, Lives and Legacies by Stephen Harrison. Nice little thin biography on Alexander the Great. I've found myself reading a little bit about him this year. I've read a couple of books that kind of focused on him, and they've been pretty interesting. I don't know, I don't know a lot about the ancient stuff. I'm more of a modern history guy, but I'm trying to fix that. But anyway, this was sent from the publisher. This is it Reaction Books? Hopefully I say that right. That was who it was from, and this is it just came out this year, 2025, and I'm happy to have this. Thank you for sending that to me. And I'll read the inside cover to you so you know what to expect if you decide to go out and get this. This book offers a fresh perspective on the reign of Alexander the Great. It re-examines Alexander's military victories and personality, while also exploring the impact of his campaigns on the people he conquered. Alexander's story, Stephen Harrison argues, is one that includes the vital roles that other figures played in historical events by considering the social and intellectual currents of the last 2 decades. Harrison highlights how changing contemporary experiences shape historical interpretations. Moving beyond the polarized debates about Alexander, he provides a nuanced discussion of Alexander's achievements and impact. Alexander the Great, Lives and Legacies, presents an Alexander for the 21st century, offering new insights into how and why historical interpretations of him have changed. And it also says it includes 33 illustrations throughout the book. So they've got those just on various pages throughout the book. So that's always good to have that visual going. I'm always happy to have that. It says here, Stephen Harrison's a lecturer in ancient history at Swansea University. Again, it's a shorter book. It's 232 pages. If you take out the end notes and stuff, it brings it down to about 203 pages. So just over 200 pages. Nice new biography on Alexander the Great. Thank you again for sending that to me. I really appreciate that. So I have just a couple of books that I picked up, used books that I picked up at, oh goodness, I was in Platte City at I can't think of the name of the store. It's a little community center type thing, and they have a book section, and I'm always real tickled when I get to go in there because the books are they're usually in pretty decent shape and they're very affordable. So start off with this one. This was I've never heard of this guy, Knut Hamsun, and his book Hunger. And this is strictly first of all, it was a Penguin Classics in pretty much brand new condition. That caught my attention, and then just the picture itself on the front cover, it was kind of intriguing. I don't know why it struck my fancy, but yeah, this is in the classics, so I thought maybe it was worth 50 cents, giving it a shot. It says first published in Norway in 1890, Hunger probes the depths of consciousness with frightening and gripping power. Contemptuous of novels of his time and what he saw as the stereotypical plots and empty characters, Hamsun, embarked on an attempt to describe the strange, peculiar life of the mind, the mysteries of the nerves in a starving body. And like the works of Dostoevsky, Hunger marks an extraordinary break with the Western literary and humanistic traditions. And so, sounded intriguing. It's a pretty short one, just 200 pages, and so something that you could tackle in a couple afternoons. 197 pages of text. This is, again, Penguin Books, and Penguin published it in the year, looks like 1998, but this book originally came out in 1890, so always good to bring in something that would be new to us. And I'm going to guess that maybe I should look here real fast. Yeah, translation is by Veer Lindstad. I'll just put it up there so you can see it, because I know I'm probably butchering that name, and I apologize. But anyway, that was a cover by just because it looked intriguing. Here's another one that I picked up from that particular book section. I was happy to have this. It's a Donald Kagan book, and I have found it at Books Revisited before, but the one that I always seem to run across is a hardback, and then the spine is broke on the hardback. And so I always kind of lay off buying it. But this is On the Origins of War and the Preservation of Peace. So Donald Kagan, good war historian. And then the cover, another cover buy. This is terrible. I shouldn't be buying books just because of what's on the cover. But it's drawing my attention. It's intriguing. And so, so I picked this one up. Many of you are familiar with Kagan. He's got, lots and lots of books out there. And it's from Anchor Books, Doubleday, out of New York, and this was published in 1995, it looks like. 1995. And so you've got a book that's a total of 606 pages. Pretty in-depth stuff. It's got, maps and stuff throughout the book to explain what's being talked about. I always like maps. I'm a map guy. But anyway, looking forward to digging into some Kagan. All right, so the next one in the stack. Now, this one will surprise people because in my current Abraham Lincoln collection up there, the book that I find the worst was written by Thomas DiLorenzo. I bought another Thomas DiLorenzo book. This one is Lincoln Unmasked. What you're not supposed to know about dishonest Abe. I know where this is probably going to sit with me. I know it going in. But I'm also somebody who always tells my kids at school that you need to look at both sides of an argument. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's something I probably need to do. I need to get a couple, three more authors with opposing viewpoints of Lincoln. People that don't like Lincoln for whatever reason, probably because they don't know anything they're talking about. But I'm sorry, never mind. But no, just to get that, so you can see the other side of the argument. So I picked this up. Hopefully it's better than the last one. The other one, The Real Lincoln, was a terrible book. Did not like it. It's been a while since I've read it. I would have to read it again to give you all of the reasons I did not like it. I just remember it put a pretty nasty taste in my mouth. And yeah. Anyway, this one comes from Crown Forum Books out of New York, and it is a 2006 book. Let's see. Hang on a second here. 223 pages in this one, so it's another short novel. Here's a picture of your author. He's an economic historian, or economics, let's see, professor of economics at Loyola College. So this one, I'll read the cover to you. What if you were told that the revered leader Abraham Lincoln was actually a political tyrant who stifled his opponents by suppressing their civil rights? What if you learned that the man was so affectionately referred to as the great emancipator, supported white supremacy, and pledged not to interfere with slavery in the South? Would you suddenly start to question everything you thought you knew about Lincoln and his presidency? No, because I've heard all of that stuff before, and I've dug into the details of everything. But anyway, sorry, let me continue. You should. Thomas J. DiLorenzo, who ignited a fierce debate about Lincoln's legacy with his book, The Real Lincoln, that's the one I have on the shelf, it now presents a litany of stunning new revelations that explode the most enduring and pernicious myths about our 16th president. Marshaling an astonishing amount of new evidence, Lincoln Unmasked offers an alarming portrait of a political manipulator and opportunist who bears little resemblance to the heroic, stoic, and principled figure of mainstay history. Did you know that Lincoln did not save the Union? In fact, Lincoln did more than any other individual to destroy the voluntary Union of the Founding Fathers recognized. Did you know that Lincoln did not want to free the slaves? Lincoln, who did not believe in equality of the races, wanted the Constitution to make slavery irrevocable. Did you know that Lincoln was not a champion of the Constitution? Contrary to his high-minded rhetoric, Lincoln repeatedly trampled on the Constitution and even issued an arrest warrant for the Chief Justice of the United States. I'm going to love reading into this book. I think I'm going to have a heyday picking things apart. If it's anything, one thing that I really remember about The Real Lincoln is the author took a ton of stuff out of context. And I'm wondering if that's happened again. But anyway, did you know that Lincoln was not a great statesman? Lincoln was actually a warmonger who manipulated his own people into a civil war. Really? And did you know that he did not utter many of his most admired quotations? DiLorenzo exposes a legion of statements that have been falsely attributed to Lincoln for generations, usually to enhance his image. In addition to detailing Lincoln's offenses against the principles of freedom, equality, and states' rights, Lincoln Unmasked exposes the vast network of academics, historians, politicians, and other gatekeepers who have sanitized his true beliefs and willfully distorted his legacy. DiLorenzo reveals how the deification of Lincoln reflects a not-so-hidden agenda to expand the size of the scope of the American state far beyond what the Founding Fathers envisioned, an expansion that Lincoln himself began. The hagiographers have shaped Lincoln's image to the point that it has become more fiction than fact. With Lincoln Unmasked, DiLorenzo shows us in Abraham Lincoln without the rhetoric, lies, and political bias that have clouded a disastrous president's enduring damage to the nation. Yeah, this one I'm going to read. I'll have to get it worked into my TBR, but I'm going to read, and I will definitely give a full report back on this because I have a feeling this one's going to really make me want to just chuck it out the window. But anyway, it's the other side of the argument. All right, so another one that I've wanted for a very long time. Again, the one copy that I saw a couple of different times had the spine had cracked on it, and so I left it on the shelf. But I finally found a copy that the spine was not cracked. It's in fairly decent condition. And this is 1421, the year China discovered America, by Gavin Menzies. And so I'm looking forward to this. This is one of those that when you look in teachers' magazines, when they're ordering books for the school year, it's in the trade books that you always see in the magazines. And it's always intrigued me. And I would really like to dig into this. I think it's going to be really good. Let me give you a little information about it real fast. So our author was born in 1937 and lived in China for 2 years before the Second World War. He joined the Royal Navy in 1953 and served in the submarines from 1959 to 1970. As a junior officer, he sailed the world in the wake of Columbus, Diaz, Cabral, and Vasco da Gama. When in command of the HMS Rorqual, I may have mispronounced that. He sailed the routes pioneered by Magellan and Captain Cook. Since leaving the Royal Navy, he has returned to China and the Far East many times, and in the course of researching 1421, has visited 120 countries, more than 900 museums and libraries in every major seaport of the late Middle Ages. Gavin Menzies is married with 2 daughters and lives in North London. So he's got, he's got a little bit of background with his research. That's a lot of museums he's went to. But this book has been out for a few years, because like I said, it's been in all the trade. It's been a trade book that teachers pick up on the sides from Harper Perennial. It came out in 2002, and this particular copy is 2003. No, 2004. Excuse me, 2004. So it's been out for a few years. I'll give you the gist of what it's about. On March 8th, 1421, the largest fleet the world had ever seen set sail from China. Its mission was to proceed all the way to the ends of the earth to collect tribute from the barbarians beyond the seas and unite the whole world in Confucian harmony. When it returned in October of 1423, the emperor had fallen, leaving China in political and economic chaos. The great ships were left to rot at their moorings, and the records of their journeys were destroyed. Lost in China's long, self-imposed isolation that followed was the knowledge that Chinese ships had reached America 70 years before Columbus and had circumnavigated the globe a century before Magellan. Also concealed was how the Chinese colonized America before the Europeans transplanted in America and other countries the principal economic crops that have fed and clothed the world. Unveiling incontrovertible evidence of these astonishing voyages, 1421 rewrites our understanding of history. Our knowledge of world exploration, as it has been commonly accepted for centuries, must now be reconceived due to this landmark work of historical investigation. And looking forward to that. I think that's pretty good. Let's see, what book did I read? It was Lies My Teacher Always Told Me, or Never Told Me. What was the name of that book? Anyway, it mentioned this in that book, Lies My Teacher Told Me. And so it's always kind of fascinated me, made me want to really go dig in just a little bit. Maybe not, head first in the pool, but at least dip my toes in the pool. All right, so when we were out and about, my family and I, when we went to Great Wolf Lodge, one of the other stores we went to was the Great Barnes & Noble. Now, I have to be picky and choosy when I'm buying there because, this stuff's full price. For the most part, it's almost all full price, so you got to pick and choose what you buy. But I did pick out a couple of fiction, works of fiction that I've had on my TBR list, my TBB list, my to be bought on my phone. When I find a book that really intrigues me on my internet deal, I open it up, and I always open up a window for Amazon with whatever book that's intriguing me at the moment. And so I've got like 30 different windows open in my in my Safari, and well, anyway, 2 of them got closed when we went to Barnes & Noble, and I'm really excited about this one. I told my wife I have to have it. It is The Eye in the Door by Pat Barker. Now, Peg over at the History Shelf had talked about, and then somebody else, I don't remember who else it was, but when we were doing some World War I stuff, they talked about this fiction book, Regeneration, and I happened to see it right after they talked about it, and I bought it. And then I found The Ghost Road, and so when I was at Barnes & Noble, so that I can finally read the trilogy, I bought The Eye in the Door. And I'm real excited about that. I think is it book 2 in the set? Don't quote me on that. I think it's book 2. I think I had 1 and 3. but maybe it's book 3. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I have all 3 of them now, so now I can read them because I'm kind of anal like that. I always want to have the whole series. But this is a Abraham's book, a Plume book, and it was published in 1993. This one came out in 94. This particular copy. Very excited to have it. And again, it's all about World War I. It says, it is the spring of 1918, and Britain is faced with possibility of defeat by Germany. A beleaguered government and a vengeful public target 2 groups as scapegoats, pacifists and homosexuals. Many are jailed, others lead dangerous double lives, and the eye in the door becomes a symbol of the paranoia that threatens to destroy the very fabric of British society. The Eye in the Door, the second in there it is. So the second in the trilogy. In Pat Barker's award-winning Regeneration trilogy is a triumph that establishes Pat Barker's place in the very forefront of contemporary novelists. And I like it because if you look, it's only, 280 pages? Not even that, 277 pages. So, short work, can get through that fairly quickly. Looking forward to it. Then the other one, if you followed the channel very long, you know that I'm a fan of John Steinbeck. And this last year or 2, I've been making a more concerted effort to read some of his other books. I always come back to my favorite book is Of Mice and Men. It's been one of my favorites since high school. We read that in school, and I just fell in love with it. I watched the current movie with what is his name? I won't remember his name, but anyway, I love the movie. We watched the movie. I fell in love with the movie. But anyway, I've always liked Steinbeck for that reason, and I've been making more of a concerted effort to read more of his works. So I've read The Grapes of Wrath. I've read a handful of them without stuttering and stammering through them. But I bought one that's been on my list. This is Once There Was a War, and this is a Penguin classic. And so I was able to pick that up. Pretty excited. Like the cover on that one too. It says John Steinbeck's dispatches from World War II filed for the New York Herald Tribune in 1943 vividly capture the human side of war. Writing from England in the midst of the London Blitz, North Africa, and Italy, Steinbeck focuses on the people as opposed to the battles, portraying everyone from the guys in a bomber crew to Bob Hope on the USO tour. He eats and drinks with soldiers behind the enemy lines, talks with them, and fights beside them. First published in book form in 1958, these writings create an unforgettable portrait of life in wartime that continues to resonate with truth and humanity. So yeah, and this was a winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. So looking forward to digging into that. So that one sounds like more of it's not a fiction book, it's a nonfiction, which I don't know if I've read any of Steinbeck's nonfiction. I've just read his fiction, I believe. So anyway, that'll be a nice change. I'll get a different taste. All right, so last 2 books. These were from the Friends of the Library book sale cart. So that cart is very hit and miss. I tend to be able to find 1 or 2 books almost every time, but sometimes there's nothing. But that's just the way it goes. This one is Daily Life in the United States, 1920 to 1940, How Americans Lived Through the Roaring Twenties and the Great Depression by David E. Kivig, however you say his name. But yeah, just a social history is what it sounds like. I'm not going to read the back cover on this one because the subtitle pretty much tells you. But looking forward to that. I always like social histories. I was just talking to John David this morning in our Voxer chat, and one of the books that we're reading talks about how women historians have added to the Renaissance with social history. And I was telling him I always fully appreciate that because it just gives a more rounded picture of what it was like to live during those time periods. But anyway, this is Ivan R.D. Publishers out of Chicago, and we've got a 2002 printing. 2002 printing. So yeah, looking forward to that. Another nice social history. And the last one that is on the list is from Philippa Gregory, and it is the Boleyn Inheritance. And I've been picking up a few of these. People talk about, there's our author, people talk about these books being really good. And so, yeah, I wanted to see what was up with these books. And so I picked this one up, and I've picked up a couple of others by Philippa Gregory. I have them upstairs, and so I'm looking forward to those. But the Boleyn Inheritance was a Touchstone book published by Simon & Schuster, and it is a 2006 book. But yeah, like upstairs, I know I've got The Virgin's Lover. I've got Meriden was there on the shelf. I left it because it wasn't in good shape. I have the other Boleyn Girl upstairs. Yeah, so I've picked up a few, so this will go in with that collection. And then I don't know if you have to read them in order. I got to look that up to see if you got to read those in order for them to make more sense. But I'll look that up and figure that out, and dig into those sometime. So anyway, BookTube, I'm at the 26-minute mark, so I better shut this down. There's a pile of new books that I got. I'll come at you again with another video here with the mass market paperbacks that I got. So let me know if you've read any of these or any of them. Are they any good? Anything stick out to you? Let me know in the comments section. I'll get right back to you. Try to get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching. And until next time, happy reading.